Where will it take you? The National Aquarium. Buy tickets at aqua.org.
Good morning, America. Supreme Court stunner. Justice Anthony Kennedy, the court's key swing vote, retiring after 30 years. Overnight, President Trump rallies his troops.
We have to pick one that's going to be there for 40 years, 45 years.
The battle now beginning. Republicans race to confirm a new justice as soon as possible and shape the court for a generation as Democrats fight back. Issues from Roe v. Wade to gay marriage hang in the balance.
Also this morning, President Trump and Vladimir Putin. New details coming in about their first ever official summit.
Also breaking news, the U.S. joining the race to rescue a young soccer team trapped in this cave for 5 days. Their bikes and backpacks abandoned near the entrance. Their families hoping for a miracle.
Wild ride. The story behind this bizarre scene: a man clings to the hood of a car speeding down the highway, a dramatic 911 call.
I really need help.
He held on for dear life for 15 miles.
And the man behind the music, remembering Joe Jackson, who helped bring us hits like ABC and I'll Be There. Changing the world of music by molding the Jackson 5 and launching the careers of Michael and Janet. What his famous family is saying this morning about his life and complex legacy as tributes pour in.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And we do say good morning, America, and quite a legacy for Joe Jackson, but also a complicated life. We'll have more on that coming up.
But first, that major breaking news from the Supreme Court. Justice Anthony Kennedy, the man who cast the deciding vote on so many crucial issues, is retiring after 30 years. He hand-delivered his resignation letter to President Trump.
And President Trump last night addressing a rally in Fargo, North Dakota, thanking Justice Kennedy for his service, saying that he is honored Kennedy trusts him to choose his replacement. And now Congress is gearing up for what is sure to be a heated confirmation battle.
Sure to be, and we are covering all the angles for you on this major story, which could affect every American and perhaps shape a generation. We have team coverage from the Supreme Court to the White House. Terry Moran starts us off. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Robin. Here at the Supreme Court, this noble building, so often seen as a rock of stability in a tumultuous world, is really shaken to its core today. We're told even some of Justice Kennedy's closest colleagues, when they came to work here yesterday, did not know what he was going to do. He's been that swing vote on so many big issues for so long that when he leaves and when he is replaced by a nominee chosen by President Donald Trump, it guarantees that this court and this country is going to change profoundly. The man in the middle, the crucial swing vote, the decider. That has been Justice Anthony Kennedy's role on the Supreme Court, and now it's over. In a short letter that he hand-delivered to the White House himself and addressed to "My dear Mr. President." In it, Justice Kennedy expressed his profound gratitude for what he called the privilege to seek in each case how best to know, interpret, and defend the Constitution. President Trump offering high praise.
He is a man that I've known for a long time and a man that I've respected for a long time. He's been a great justice of the Supreme Court.
Kennedy leaves a mark on the court and on American life like few other justices in history since he was nominated by Ronald Reagan in 1987, casting crucial votes in landmark case after case. He co-authored the key opinion upholding Roe v. Wade, and in a remarkable series of cases over the course of almost 2 decades, he championed the civil rights of gay and lesbian Americans, writing this about same-sex couples in the 2015 case that legalized gay marriage in America. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. And on the conservative side, Justice Kennedy wrote the court's opinion in Citizens United, allowing unlimited corporate spending in elections, and just this week voted to uphold President Trump's travel ban. And now the president will choose Kennedy's successor. The stakes could not be higher.
It's always been considered a tremendously important thing. Some people think outside of, obviously, war and peace, it's the most important.
High on the short list, Judge Thomas Hardiman of Pittsburgh, 52. He was said to be runner-up last year when Trump picked Neil Gorsuch for the court, a strong gun rights supporter. Judge Brett Kavanaugh of Washington, D.C., also 52, and like Gorsuch, also a former clerk to Justice Kennedy. He worked in the George W. Bush White House.
And Judge Amy Coney Barrett of Chicago, 46, a former clerk to the late Justice Antonin Scalia. She's criticized Roe versus Wade and is a mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 children adopted from Haiti.
And the Supreme Court, of course, such a critical issue in the 2016 presidential campaign. And President Trump, his White House staff, and outside legal activists, they've been preparing for this moment since well before the inauguration. He knows these nominees. He's talked to a couple of them, and he and the Republicans in the Senate want to get this done fast, so I'd expect a nominee very soon. Robin?
Terry, as you know, there are so many questions. One concerning the timing. Do we know any reason why that Justice Kennedy decided now is the time for him to retire?
You know, Robin, he'd been sending signals for a couple of years. He's 81 years old. We hear that his family was okay with him staying on if he wanted to, but he didn't. And there's this, I think. Justice Kennedy has demonstrated over the course of his career, he's a man with a profound confidence and faith in the American people and the American democracy. He thinks that whatever the choice will be and whatever this course does, in the long run, it'll come out okay.
That is the hope of many. All right. Thanks so much, George.
Okay, Robin, as we've said, the Kennedy retirement has set the stage for a titanic fight over the future of the Supreme Court. President Trump has promised to make his pick from a list of conservative judges. Democrats trying to delay so voters can have a say in the midterm elections. And our chief White House correspondent, John Carl, is tracking the looming battle. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. For many conservatives, Donald Trump's promise to transform the Supreme Court was the single most important reason they came to support him. Now he has a chance to make good on that promise, but he will first face an epic confirmation battle. Overnight in Fargo, North Dakota, President Trump turned his next Supreme Court pick into a campaign rallying cry.
Justice Kennedy's retirement makes the issue of Senate control one of the vital issues of our time, the most important thing we can do.
And with midterm elections on the horizon, the president called on Republicans to act quickly.
We have to pick one that's going to be there for 40 years, 45 years. We need intellect. We need so many things.
He slammed those who would get in his way.
Democrats want judges who will rewrite the Constitution any way they want to do it and take away your Second Amendment, erase your borders, throw open the jailhouse doors, and destroy your freedoms.
The president's choice could be the most consequential Supreme Court nomination in a half-century, replacing the swing vote on the court and likely shifting the balance of power decisively in favor of the conservatives. Leonard Leo is the conservative legal expert who will help the president make his pick.
It's a transformative opportunity for the president and for the country.
To transform the Supreme Court.
Well, to transform the rule of law in our country.
During the campaign, Trump promised to only pick pro-life judges.
I am putting pro-life justices on the court.
Anti-abortion activists are calling it a pivotal moment, while abortion rights defenders are saying they are in dire immediate danger.
The Senate should reject, on a bipartisan basis, any justice who would overturn Roe v. Wade or undermine key health care protections.
Democrats insist there should be no confirmation vote at all until after the midterm elections. They point to the fact that Republicans blocked Barack Obama's last pick for 10 months before the 2016 presidential election. But Republican leader Mitch McConnell says there must be no delay.
We will vote to confirm Justice Kennedy's successor this fall.
Republicans are dealing with a razor-thin one-vote majority in the Senate. That means they can afford to lose only one, and when you consider the fact that John McCain hasn't been in the Senate to vote since late last year, there really is no margin of error. As the president himself said last night, we lose one if somebody gets a bad cold. That's why, George, you can expect Republicans to put intense pressure on three Democrats who voted for Neil Gorsuch, his choice last time around, and who are now, this year, up for re-election in states that Trump won big.
Yeah, Republicans should try to put pressure on those Democrats. Democrats trying to put pressure on two key Republican senators, women senators Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska.
Absolutely. They are both in favor of abortion rights, but both also did support Neil Gorsuch last time around, and Republicans will be putting a lot of pressure on their own, those two, to support the president's nominee this time as well.
Okay, John, thanks very much. Let's get more on this now from our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, our Supreme Court analyst, Kate Shaw. Welcome to both of you. And Dan, let me begin with you. Let's pick up right there on Roe v. Wade. That's where all the early energy is going to be.
Well, that's right. But let's be clear. There's no question that Roe v. Wade could be in jeopardy. But that doesn't mean it's going to get overturned. Everyone's talking about overturned. As a practical matter, justices like to show deference to previous opinions, meaning it's unusual to say we're simply going to overturn a decision because we now disagree with it. It happens on occasion, but it's very rare. More likely what you see is an opinion effectively get gutted, meaning states that want to restrict abortion will increasingly make laws that are more restrictive, and then have those laws challenged in the hope that those laws are able to move forward, and in effect it would mean that it becomes nearly impossible for women in a number of states to get abortions.
And you can be sure that whoever President Trump nominates is going to do his or her best not to show their hand on Roe v. Wade during the confirmation.
Well, yeah, you don't want to admit, what your position is on any case. In the confirmation process, the rule is when you're asked about a particular case, you say, this could come in front of me, and as a result, I'd have to see what the facts of the case were. But you've got to believe that the president is going to know a lot about any candidate that he considers.
Roe v. Wade, Kate, really is the issue getting so much attention this morning, but you say there are two other critical issues, gay marriage and the death penalty, that could also be impacted by this.
So Justice Anthony Kennedy didn't just vote to uphold gay rights. He was the architect, essentially, of the revolution under the Constitution in terms of gay rights and the Equal Protection Clause. So he wrote the recent opinion finding that the Constitution guarantees marriage regardless of sex. Those were all 5-4 decisions. So I think, at least in theory, those could be in question. But just as Dan said, just because you have the votes to overturn a prior case doesn't necessarily mean that you use them. So the court in 1992 actually looked like it was going to overturn Roe versus Wade because there had been a change in membership, and it reaffirmed that opinion, in part because the court as an institution would be harmed by essentially giving the appearance that it was a political institution. So in all these areas, I think there are hard questions about whether the court will change course, even if it has the votes to do so.
Justice Kennedy didn't make this announcement from the bench. Were you surprised? You were there yesterday. Were you surprised by this?
We all knew it was a possibility, but I don't think anyone in that building really believed he was going to do it yesterday. In part because, he seemed to send a message with his travel ban separate writing that he had some concerns about some of President Trump's conduct and rhetoric. He wrote separately to sort of say, you need to act in ways that respect constitutional values like equality. But in the end, I think he did want to be replaced by a Republican president, and this was the surest way to see that.
And the Supreme Court's pretty good, better than most institutions at keeping secrets.
Okay.
Thank you both very much. Let's go back to Robin.
All right, George, as the president faces that Supreme Court battle, he's also preparing for that high-stakes meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, the two leaders' first formal summit. Our chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, has those new details for us. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Robin. This will likely take place in Helsinki, Finland, at the end of NATO meetings. Of course, President Trump and President Putin have met in the past twice, but on the sidelines. But as you said, this would be the first formal official summit. John Bolton, the president's national security advisor, met with Putin yesterday in Russia to work out details of the meeting, saying it's important for these two critically important countries to get together and discuss areas of mutual cooperation. Both feel it will lead to improvements in the U.S.-Russian bilateral relationship. President Putin said yesterday that he regrets to say U.S.-Russian relations are not in the best of shape, but they will likely talk about Syria, Ukraine, and Russian meddling in the elections. And of course, Robin, this comes right in the middle of Bob Mueller's investigation into Russia.
Smack dab in the middle. All right. Martha, thank you very much. Cecilia?
All right. Thanks, Robin. Now to that crisis at the border. A team of government investigators is headed to those shelters housing migrant children, looking to, quote, ensure the health and safety of the more than 2,000 kids still separated from their parents. This as First Lady Melania Trump plans a second trip to the border. Our chief national affairs correspondent, Tom Yamas, is outside a center for those children in Arizona with the latest. Good morning, Tom.
Cecilia, good morning to you. Details of the First Lady's trip are still being kept under wraps, but we understand she will be traveling to Arizona today to visit with families and children affected by her husband's zero-tolerance immigration policy. This, as you mentioned, a government watchdog has announced they will be inspecting all facilities similar to this one just behind me that house immigrant children. This used to be a motel. Now kids call it home. This morning, the pressure and the spotlight growing on the care given to these children separated from their parents. This just days after senators grilled the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Parents that I hear from who desperately want to know where their kids are.
There is no reason why any parent would not know where their child is located.
A judge now ordering the federal government to reunite the more than 2,000 children with their parents within 30 days. Do you think the federal government's going to make that deadline?
I think they're going to work really hard at it. We respond to court orders. Obviously, my counterparts at Health and Human Services and ICE have been working this issue to connect families.
The Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection taking us through the merciless desert terrain that separates Arizona and Mexico. Yet so many still try to cross. More than 150 people arrested every day in this area alone. From the air, we saw it up close.
CBP has spotted two people, one a male dressed completely in camouflage, another a female dressed in red, and they have climbed to the top of a mountain.
And this morning, ABC News obtaining these images of a 6-year-old boy from Costa Rica abandoned, possibly by smugglers, on a border road in Arizona. CBP says he was left with just a bottle of soda in 100-degree heat. And that image shows you the risk that some take, especially with their children. Yesterday, we were able to hike the migrant trail from Mexico into Arizona, right around the border, and we saw how unforgiving that landscape is. George, at least 400 people die a year alone just trying to get into Arizona.
Such treacherous conditions. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. We're going to move on now to the breaking news overseas. American and British experts have joined the search for a group of young soccer players trapped in a cave now for 5 days. ABC's Eva Pilgrim brings us all the latest from London. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. This is a race against time. That boys soccer team has been trapped in the cave in Thailand now for 5 days. This morning, the U.S. military has been sent in to help. About 30 American search and rescue experts are joining a team of about 600 people. The 12 boys, ages 11 to 16, and their soccer coach went into that cave Saturday, becoming trapped after heavy rains clogged the main entrance. Now, the flooding is a major problem here. Water levels in the cave have been rising because of the rain, going up overnight by 6 inches every hour. Now, meanwhile, family and friends have been praying near the entrance, near where the bikes and the backpacks the boys left behind were. And rescuers are hoping to find some way, any way into that cave to get this group out before the water takes hold. And they are hoping for a break from this rain to help them get in to be able to do that, George.
We can only hope they found higher ground inside that cave. Okay, Eva, thanks very much.
So much, George. We're going to turn now to that stunner at the World Cup. Defending champion Germany is out of the tournament following a 2-0 loss to South Korea. It is the first time Germany has failed to get through the group stage. Now, the upset means, what does that mean?
It means Mexico's still in it!
Advancing to the round of 16. You were very
I am not a biased, an unbiased journalist on this one. It all goes out the door.
But the celebrations that were going on all across Mexico.
The funniest thing I've seen. They were the Mexicans were in the streets. They were looking for South Koreans to hug them. It's like hug a South Korean day. Yes.
Yeah. See, there was a toss. And you and your husband, you had your jerseys on. You're in full support.
We are in it to win it. We are in it to win it. We're still in it. Yes.
Very happy after 3-0 loss. There, right? I know, exactly. Let's go back to Ginger.
Yeah, and you know what? Severe storms, guys. At least 90 severe storm reports, including this funnel in Youngwood, Pennsylvania. A lot of heat I've got to talk about later. But for now, the Hot Cities brought to you by Quicken Loans Rocket Mortgage.
Oh, grab an umbrella, kids, because Dad's going to make it rain. Trays.
He's saying he's going to score a bunch of three-pointers on you.
Yeah, we ball till we fall.
There are multiples on the table. One is cash, 3 are FHA, 1 is VA. So what can you do?
She's saying a whole lot of people want to buy this house. But you got this. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans makes the complex simple. Understand the details and get approved in as few as 8 minutes by America's largest mortgage lender.
Are those my shorts?
Today is day one of a stretch of 90-degree
temperatures or higher. We'll see 87 at lunchtime today, 90 by 3 o'clock. Clouds coming and going today and may even see a little stray shower, but the heat will peak this weekend. Expecting 105 for a heat index on Sunday, close to 100 Saturday, and 106 the heat index for Monday without much rain. Looking toward that 4th of July, Wednesday, 90. We're dry for right now.
Coming up, remembering Joe Jackson.